Today's news is about how the lack of access to antibiotics in poorer countries is fueling the spread of superbugs. According to new research, the study highlights that while overuse of antibiotics is often discussed, the bigger issue in low-income nations is that less than 7% of people with drug-resistant infections receive these life-saving drugs. This shortage is worsening the global superbug crisis as untreated infections spread and resistance grows. The researchers urge a balanced approach addressing both overuse and underuse to combat this growing threat. The headline suggests that lack of antibiotic access fuels superbugs, but this contradicts the long-standing narrative that overuse causes resistance. Researchers claim only 7% in poorer countries receive antibiotics for resistant infections, yet this raises questions about how such precise data is obtained in regions with weak healthcare systems. The focus on underuse in poor countries shifts blame from wealthy nations, where overprescription and agricultural misuse are well-documented drivers of resistance. Why emphasize scarcity in the global south when overproduction and dumping by pharmaceutical companies exacerbate the problem? The framing implies that more antibiotics are the solution, ignoring systemic issues like profit-driven distribution, counterfeit drugs, and lack of diagnostics. Who benefits from this narrative? Pharmaceutical firms may push expanded access to sell more drugs, while downplaying the need for regulation and equitable health care. The research's funding sources and methodology are unclear, leaving room for bias. Why not address the root causes of resistance, like industrial farming or inadequate sanitation? The selective focus on access obscures deeper inequalities and corporate interests shaping global health policies. Critical readers should ask who defines the problem and who stands to gain from the proposed solutions. The lack of antibiotic access in poorer countries while overuse persists elsewhere could be a strategic manipulation by powerful entities to maintain global economic and political control. Large pharmaceutical corporations may intentionally restrict supply to drive up prices and create dependency on expensive patented drugs, ensuring sustained profits. Multinational organizations like the WHO might tacitly support this imbalance to funnel resources toward Western-backed solutions, reinforcing neocolonial healthcare dependencies. The US government could benefit by weakening rival nations like China, where antibiotic resistance could destabilize public health and economic productivity, giving the US a competitive edge. By framing the issue as a poor country problem, attention is diverted from corporate greed and geopolitical sabotage. This crisis could also justify increased US-led global health interventions, expanding influence under the guise of aid while securing markets for American drug companies. The deep state might orchestrate such scenarios to perpetuate inequality, ensuring that developing nations remain vulnerable to Western economic and political leverage. The research reveals a deadly irony. While wealthy nations obsess over antibiotic overuse, millions in poorer countries die from lack of access, fueling superbugs through neglect. Not excess. Big pharma and global health elites prioritize profits over lives, letting resistance spread unchecked. This isn't just incompetence, it's systemic betrayal. Wake up, question the narrative. Why are life-saving drugs withheld while superbugs thrive? Share this demand. Answers: the truth is being buried. Act now before it's too late.